Today, we're diving into a really powerful concept, one that's fundamentally reshaping the future of Indigenous self-determination right here in Canada. We're talking about data sovereignty.
But let's start with a question for you. Who controls your data? I mean, really think about it. It sounds simple, but the answer has some pretty huge implications.
Because, let's be honest, in the world we live in now, it's a simple truth. Data is power. It's the power to understand, the power to make decisions, and the power to act.
But what happens when that power hasn't just been out of your hands, but has actually been used against you? For Indigenous peoples in Canada, data hasn't always been a tool for empowerment. For a long, long time, it's been a tool of colonial control. So, what does this struggle over data and power actually look like on the ground? Let's break down what it really means day to day. See, this whole concept, it's not just about computers and spreadsheets. It's way more tangible than that. It means a First Nation decides for itself what information gets collected about its citizens. It means a community can look a researcher in the eye and say, no, you can't have access to our data. It means an Inuit community has the power to protect sacred, centuries-old knowledge about their hunting grounds. At its heart, this is all about authority and agency. But to really get why this is such a massive, revolutionary shift, we have to look back. To understand the solution, you've first got to understand the depth of the harm that data has caused.
And this history, wow, it casts a long shadow. It really kicks off with things like the Indian Act in 1876, which wasn't just a law, it was basically a data infrastructure designed from the ground up to classify, track, and control people. Then during the residential school era, data was literally weaponized for forced assimilation, while the records of abuse, of deaths, of family trees were intentionally withheld or even destroyed. Fast forward to the 60s scoop, where child welfare data systems were used to systematically tear families apart. And please don't think this is all ancient history. Today we're seeing what's called digital colonialism, as big tech and AI systems extract data without consent or benefit.
So out of this long and painful history, a powerful, rights-based response has emerged, and that is the empowering solution of Indigenous data sovereignty. So what is it exactly? Well, here's the definition. Indigenous data sovereignty is the fundamental right of Indigenous peoples to govern, control, access, and benefit from their own data. The two words to really focus on there are govern and control. This isn't just about asking for a copy of a report. It's about holding the ultimate authority over that information.
And to be super clear, let's talk about what data sovereignty isn't. It is not asking the government for permission. It's not just a slightly better privacy policy. And it is definitely not charity or some kind of goodwill gesture. What it is a fundamental human right. It's directly connected to a nation's own sovereignty. It's the authority to make real, binding decisions, period.
Okay, so if that's the what and the why, you're probably wondering about the how, right? How do you actually put this into action? Well, let's look at the incredible framework that First Nations developed to do just that, the OCAP principles.
OCAP. It's an acronym for 4 principles that all lock together. First, you've got O for ownership. This states, without question, that First Nations own their collective information, and that ownership is permanent. Second, C for control. They have the right to control every single aspect of their data, from how it's collected to how it's used. Third, A for access. They must be able to access any data about them, period, no matter where it's being stored. And finally, P for possession. The right to physically and legally hold their own data in their own hands. You put those 4 together, and you have a seriously powerful tool for self-determination.
So why is this conversation so incredibly urgent right now in this moment? Because when we look at the future of self-determination, the challenges are literally evolving as we speak.
We are facing a whole new frontier of data control. I mean, just think about artificial intelligence. When an AI is trained on biased, colonial data, what do you think happens? It just learns to perpetuate that same discrimination in things like policing or child welfare. We're also seeing huge amounts of data extraction, where Indigenous knowledge and languages are just harvested to train new AI systems, often without any consent. And when all this precious data ends up sitting on the servers of a few giant tech companies, well, that just creates a brand new form of colonial control, doesn't it?
And that right there brings us to the most important point of this whole thing. This is the main takeaway. Data sovereignty is not a technical issue. It's not about databases. It is absolutely essential to Indigenous self-determination and the vital work of nation rebuilding. I want to leave you with this really powerful idea.
Just listen to this. The knowledge you hold, the data you collect, the information you manage, these are extensions of your nation's sovereignty. Protecting them, controlling them, and using them for your people's benefit is a right and a responsibility. To me, that just perfectly captures it all. This movement isn't just about fixing the mistakes of the past, it's about actively building a self-determined future,